Hi, Alan.
Shavua
Shavua Tov.
Tov.
Hi, Harold.
Ernie, I
Hi.
asked a question. Ernie's on?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
I asked a question. If Piegel and Noser are they him? They're him, right?
Yes.
How do they burn them? Without the yadayim? Can they burn them without using their hands? Piegel and Noser?
So there's a chiyuv to burn them. They're not they're we're going to see where the chiyuv where the you do burn them, the Beis Hadeshen, which is a certain place where all the noiser and things that have to be burnt were burned. You're saying, how did they transport them there?
So they can't. Must have some kind of tools or something because they couldn't use their hands, right? They can't touch it with their hands, no?
They would touch it with something that's not makabel tumah, like a wooden, like maybe a wooden stick or something.
So they don't burn them on the Mikdash, so where they bring the korbanos.
They burn it bebeis hadeshen, shefach hadeshen yisarif.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Yeah. But they didn't touch him with their yadayim.
No, you wouldn't be able to touch a biyadayim because certainly the Tomei ones, they're rabbinically, Pigel and Neusser, rabbinically were made Tomei. Tomei is Tomei midoraisa. So, but even the Kohanim would restrict themselves from becoming Tomei even rabbinically. So yes, they wouldn't touch them biyadayim. You would have to touch them with sticks that had in the base kibul, that were not makabel tumah.
Wood, yeah.
Yeah, piece of wood that was not, that didn't have a base kibul.
Yeah.
And therefore the wood is not makabel tumah. And that's it.
Okay.
Therefore it can't convey tumah to the person burning them.
Right.
Okay. We're going to see a little bit tonight, Pigel, Neusser, and Tomei. Okay, we're on Test Vav. By the way, Mario,
Yes.
I gave the Zoom information and password to Ahuva Jacob's father, Bernie Cohen. Now, do you have to let him in, or if he has the Zoom number and password, he just comes in on his own?
He can get in. He can get in. The only thing is, I don't. You have to ask Johnny to put him on the list so we can message him.
Yeah, okay. I sent him a message tonight. I'll tell Johnny to put him on.
All right.
What time tomorrow?
Now tomorrow we're going to learn at 7:30 p.m., a half hour before the Navi Shir.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're at Test Vav 15 Amud Aleph. Amreish Lakish B'Shum Bakapar. That in contradistinction to the way we just learned, our Mishnah is Ba'ava Tumah D'Oraisa, that the Avatuma is a Tumas Sheretz or Nevela, which is D'Oraisa. Uvlada Tumah D'Oraisa. And when it made a Rishon, and the Rishon made a Sheni, that was also D'Oraisa. We went ahead and burnt the Rishon with the Sheni. That was the first case of the Mishnah. But the Gemara previously tried to say that we're talking about that when we said Vlada Tumah in the Mishnah, it was a rabbinic Tumah only. So therefore, if it's Tumah D'Oraisa both, then Umay Medivreya. Then Rav Chanina's Gana Kohanim and Rav Akiva are not the proper lessons to teach us about burning truma that is tamei with truma that is only tamei midrabana. Because if it's doraisa, then it's not a good limud. So umay b'divrei, it meant b'divrei Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua. Remember, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua in our Mishnah said, you burn the truma tmei with the truma Torah separately. Now the Gemara wants to know, hey, Rabbi Yeshua, which Rabbi Yeshua are we talking about? Ilay Maha Rabbi Yeshua Disnan, Chavish Shel Truma, Shenoled La Sveik Tuma. You have a warehouse full of barrels of wine, and the barrels were truma. And there's a question, somebody walked in who was tamei. We don't know whether he touched the barrel or he didn't touch the barrel. So it's not tuma vadai. It's safek tuma. Now we've learned that truma tahoira you have to prevent from becoming tamei. There's a mitzvah saseh min Torah to watch over truma tahor. So Rabbi Eliezer Oimer, if the barrel was in an open place, you have to put it in a more hidden place. He's learning that even safek tuma, you have a prohibition of, you still have to watch it. And ma'isa magula, if the barrel was uncovered, yichasena. So you see from Eliezer, you have a chiyuv, even though it's only a safek, you still have to watch it. Rabbi Yeshua Omer, no. For safek tuma, even if it was hidden, you could move it to an open place. And if it was closed, you can open it. So we see clearly there's no chiyuv to watch it anymore. So Reish Lakish wants to say that the ability to burn truma tmeya with truma tahira on Erev Pesach is learned from this Rabbi Yoshua, because there's no need anymore to watch it from tum. The Gemara says it's not a good proof. Midami. Hasam grama ba'alma. In the case that we just mentioned, you're not being metameit biyadayim. You're opening up the barrel. Maybe somebody will come to be metameit, but you're not being metameit biyadayim. But burning chametz of truma that is tamei with chametz of truma that is tahor is you're actually biyadayim causing the truma tahor to become tamei. So that's not a good source. Elahar Rabbi Yoshua Disna. The Rabbi Yoshua that we're looking for is a different Rabbi Yoshua that we learn in the following Mishnah. Chavi shel truma shenishba b'gasa elyona. The wine presses were 2 stories, and there was a barrel of truma wine above, and there was a vat which collected wine on the first floor. And the chavis of truma got split open, and it's leaking from the top to the bottom floor. And v'tachtona chulin tmeim. In the bottom is a vat of wine that's chulin but is tamei. Now, regular people can eat. A non-Kohen can eat unless you unless you have a minig like a chaver of only eating your stuff b'tar. But otherwise, there's no problem of eating chulin tmeim. The problem is, if the truma tmeya goes down and mixes with that, then a non-Kohen can't eat it because it's truma. Now, let's say you have some kalim around, but the kalim are all tamei. So if you went and looked for one of those kalim to collect some of the wine that's leaking. The problem is you're going to be metame the wine biyadai, because by collecting it in a vessel that's tame, you're doing it biyadai, making it tame. As opposed to letting it on its own drip down to the bottom, it'll become tame, but you're not doing it biyadai. Or should you run, even though you're going to lose money, as the truma runs down into the vat below, before you have the ability to collect some tohar truma, you're going to lose all that money of chulin down below, because once it's mixed with truma, you can't sell it. So do I have to run to find a tohar vessel in order to save the truma b'tahara, even though I'm going to lose a lot of money? So Mod Rabbi Yezer Yoshua, here Rabbi Yezer Yoshua agreed. So first, if he has a kli that is tohar, he should certainly use that kli to save at least a revius of truma tohar. Now let's say vimla, let's say you don't have a kli tohar. Rabbi Yezer oimer teired v'titame v'yitamena biyad. You are not allowed to use a tame kli to try to collect some of the dripping truma, because by doing that, you're being metame this truma biyad by collecting it in the vessel. Okay, it's going to run down on its own, but you're not doing it biyad. Rabbi Yoshua Omer, no, because you're losing money, yitamena biyad. It's holech le'ibud anyways. It's going to destruction. So you can go and collect it you could be metame it. So since chametz of truma in the 6th hour is going to be burned, that's our question. Since it's going le'ibud anyways, maybe there's no din that you need to watch it from becoming tameh. So the Gemara thinks it's found a source of Rabbi Yoshua from our Mishnah that allows you to burn chametz of truma tohira with chametz truma tmeya. That's where we are so far. So, if that's true the way you're learning, hi midivrehem, it shouldn't say midivrehem lamadnu. It should say midvarav maboili. It's not learning it from Rabbi Yezer. He's learning it only from Rabbi Yoshua. So the language of the Mishnah midivrehem is not correct. So the Gemara answers, Hachi kamar ein achanami mimachlekusan Rabbi Yezer Rabbi Yoshua lamadnu. It's from this debate between Rabbi Yezer and Rabbi Yoshua regarding truma that's leaking, whether you can use a tamei kli to save the truma that's leaking. It's from that machlokas that we see that once it's holech le'ibud, you're allowed to burn it together. The truma, there's no responsibility anymore for truma tahor that you have to watch it from becoming tamei. Dekanami, I will prove to you from the language of the Mishnah itself, Dikatoni, that it says Moed Rabbi Yezer Rabbi Yoshua. In fact, why? Because it just says they agree. Moed Rabbi Yezer Rabbi Yoshua Shmami no. So it's exactly the way we're learning. The Rav Meir is Rabbi Yoshua Yolif. Because he's learning from both of them, from their machlokas. V'chein Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Aravua, Masnisen Bavatuma Doraisa V'Lanatuma Doraisa. And this is how Reish Lakish introduced our sugya tonight. That the explanation of our Mishnah is that the Avatum is Doraisa and the Vladatum is Doraisa, not the Rabbanon, like we previously learned yesterday. And what do we mean by Midivrei? Midivrei Rabbi Yezer Rabbi Yoshua. Okay. Eisvei Rav Nachman. But on this approach to explaining our Mishnah, Rav is going to have a kasha. Rabbi Yosi in our Mishnah says, Eina nidin doime l'raya. The case you're bringing is not a proof to our what we need to know about proving that you can burn truma tahira with truma tmei. Shekesheidu Rabbi saying al ma'eidu. When the Chachamim gave testimony, what did they give testimony on? Imala basar shenitma bevlada tuma. We're talking about meat that had become nitma with a rishon. Vlada tuma is a rishon, meaning it's a sheni. Shesorfino so imabasar shenitma ba'avatuma. That you're allowed to burn it with meat that touched an avatum, which is a rishon, meaning you're allowed to burn a rishon with a sheni. However, you can't learn out to our case of chametz, where one is tahor and one is tameh. Why? Because zeh tameh v'zeh tameh. If you're going to say that we're talking about tuma doraisa, av, and a vlada tuma, which is also doraisa, then it's not a limud to our case, because zeh tameh v'zeh tameh. And our case is one is tameh and one is tahor. Then, the second case of the Mishnah says, Rabbi Yosi, Imal Hashem and Shenifsal b'Tvul Yom. We said that at Tvul Yom, somebody went to the mikvah on his, let's say on the 7th day of Tumas Meis, or he touched a sheretz or a nevela, he's tummy for that day, but he goes to the mikvah and he's a Tvul Yom. At that point, he can eat Meiser Sheni. He needs hair of Shemesh to be able to eat Truma. Now, the Chachamim made a gzeira that anything a Tvul Yom touches, it becomes a Shlishi. So, the shemen that nifsal b'tvul yom became a shlishi. Shemadlikin also b'ner shenitma b'tamei meis. Let's say a vessel, a metal vessel, or any kind of candelabra that had become tamei by touching a corpse. So a kli that touches an avatuma becomes a rishon. So here we're talking about putting shlishi shemen into a rishon kli, which makes the shlishi a sheni. But that's also not a raya to our case of burning chametz truma that is Torah with chametz truma that is tmeir, because zeh pasul, the shemen, something that is a shlishi betruma is called pasul. Pasul means it's invalidated, but it cannot be metame to a revi, because truma cannot go lower than a shlishi. The difference between truma and kachim is kachim, a shlishi can make a revi. So therefore, kachim that became nitma as a shlishi is in fact tame. We don't call it pasul, we call it tame. You only call something tame that has the ability to carry on tumah weiter. But truma shlishi is called a pasul because it doesn't have the ability to carry the tumah weiter. So says Rabbi Yosi, this is also not a raya because zeh pasul v'zeh tame. And we're looking for a raya that you can burn truma tmeya with truma tahira. Says Rabbi Yoshi, af ana moedim betruma shenit meis bevlada tuma. I also agree that truma that became tummy with a vlada tuma, meaning a risho, which therefore the truma is a sheni. Shirsorfin osoi matruma shenit meis bevlada you burn it with a risho, because both are tummy. Aval heich nisraf hatluya imatmeya. But this is not a raya that you could take safek truma and burn it with vaday tmeya. So number one, tluya you can't because shema yavo eliyav yitarema. Something that is a safek, we don't want to burn it because maybe Eliyahu Navi will show up and be matarid. Now, the baraisa that we just quoted, we already had the major portion, but the baraisa continues. Hapigul v'hanoiser v'hatami. So, just to remind everybody, we haven't had this kodshim in a while. So, pigul is a korban that when the Kohen shechts it, or when he does the zrika sadam, he has in mind to eat of the korban tomorrow. A korban can only be eaten for 24 hours. So if he thinks about eating the korban while he's doing the shechita zrika, he has made that korban pigul. That is not kosher. And if you eat a kazayas of pigul, by the way, there's two ways of making pigul. One is chutz lizmano, one is chutz l'mkomo. So if I have a mind to eat it in Tel Aviv, that's chutz l'mkomo. But that's pigul ve'ein bo kares. If I eat a kazayis of such pigul, I'm not allowed to, but I don't get kares. But if I made pigul by thinking of chutz lizmano, then if I eat kazayis, then I get kares. So that's pigul. Now the Chachamim gave pigul a rabbinic tumah. It's not tamei midaraisa, but to keep people away from pigul, they said it's tamei midrabbanan. Then you have an entity called noiser. So if I shech the korban Monday morning, 10 o'clock, I do zrika sadam, I'm supposed to eat of the meat. Let's say it's a chatas, the kohanim eat it. I burn the evorim updorim at night. By next morning, that's it. It all has to be consumed. Whatever is not consumed, if you have any meat left over, that is called noiser. And if I eat a kazayas of noiser, I get kares. So that's noiser. Noiser was also given a tumah d'rabbanan. Then the third entity is v'hatame. That we know. That's basar, let's say psar kotche that a sheretz fell on. Well, that's vaday tome. So pigul noiser v'hatame. Beis Shammai oimrim ein nisrafin ka'achas. Beis Shammai said we don't burn them together. You have to burn them, but you don't burn them together. Because in essence, pigul and noiser, mida araisa are tahor. So I'm being metame b'yadayim. If I burn them together, the tame meat is touching the pigul and noiser, which are only tame midrabanan. Mida araisa, they're tahor. So I'm violating that imperative that I'm not allowed to be that I'm not allowed to be moisif tumah. Beis Hillel says no, since these items are hoylech li'ibud, they're going to be destroyed, they're going to be burned. So therefore the imperative to watch them, that they shouldn't become tummy, goes away, and therefore I can burn them together. That's the conclusion of the Baraisa. Now, said Rabba, who's asking the kasha, if Rab Meir is learning from Rab Yoshua, why is Rab Yosi directing his attention to the first cases of Rav Chanina's Kanakonim and not the cases of Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer? Amalei Rav Nachman, Rab Yosi lava daite. He didn't really understand Rav Meir's shita. To whose savar? Rav Yosi thought Rav Meir made Rav Chanina's Kanakonim commonly. That Rav Meir was learning the din that you can burn these things together from Chanina's Kanakonim. The Omar lay, but Rav Meir responded to Rav Yosi, Anomid Rav Yoshua Kamina. I didn't learn from Chanina's Kanakonim. I learned from Yoshua. The Omar lay, Rav Yosi responded, Vafil Rav Yoshua Nami Eina Hi Amida. Yeah, but you're trying to learn from Rav Yoshua. It's also not correct. You see that Rav Yezer Rav Yoshua wanted the Truma Tmeya to burn separately from the Truma Tohira. So ask V'amai Eina Hi Amida. Why would it not be the same din? It would be the same din. Mida umidahi. It is the same din. Something, whether it's going to go in the future to be destroyed, whether you're allowed to be metame b'yadayim, it's exactly the point. So the Gemara says, "Shani hasam the ikehef said chulin." But the case that we brought of the chavis, of the wine, that's leaking down into the chulin, you're losing money. You didn't factor in that issue. It's not just a case of being shomer truma. There's loss of money. Loss of money, that has to play a role. And that may be why there's a difference in the halacha there. Masking for Rav Yirmiyah, but Masisanami Ike Hefsedeitzim. Our Mishnah, which says that you have to bring extra wood and make a separate pyre to burn the Truma Tmei and the Chametz Tmei and the Chametz Tahora, you're losing money. So it's the same, it is the same case. Omer Le'ahu Saba, a certain elder, some say Eliyahu Novi, Lehefsid Meruba, where you're going to lose a lot of wine. So that you play a role, Chashshu. Lehefsid Muet, to bring a couple of pieces of wood to make another pyre, that's not a very big hefsid. Lehefsid Muet, Loi Chashshu. Okay. Now, Amr Abasi Rav Yochanan, this machlokes about burning tohoira with tumeya chametz is b'sheish. Remember, in the 6th hour of the day, the trumas chametz is usher only midrabanan. It becomes usher midaraisa after the 7th hour. So the machlokes we've been dealing with is only in the 6th hour. Aval b'sheva divrei kol soifi. But when it becomes usher midaraisa, the chametz, and we're talking about truma that's chametz, one is tor and one is tameh, then everybody holds you can burn them together. There's no requirement to be meshamer the truma tahor anymore because midaraisa it's coming to be destroyed as well. Omle Rav Zera Rabasi, Rav Zera responded that if based on this, Nemak of Rabbi Yochanan, that masnisen be'ava tuma deraisa vlada tuma drabon. We've been debating when Rav Chanina Skana Kohanim started off by saying something that was metame be'ava tuma got mixed up with something vlada tuma, whether both are deraisa or the vlada tuma is rabbinic. And then and that would be the source for burning chametz truma together, umay midifreim, that was mid Rav Chanina Skana Kohanim. Omerle Rav Yochanan responded in, and itmar nami am Rav Yochanan masnisin ba'ava tuma deraisa vlada tuma drabona. Umay midivrei Rav Chanina Skana Kohanim, like the previous way we learned. Umachlokes b'sheish, and this machlokes, whether you do it or not, is only in the 6th hour when it's only a rabbinic prohibition. Aval b'sheva divrei akol soifer, but everybody once the 7th hour comes around and it's also midaraisa, then there's no mitzvah to be shomer truma ta'ira because it's hoylech li'ibud midaraisa. Then lema messiah lame. Let us say that the Tosefta that we previously quoted will support this Rav Yochanan, the one we quoted. Apikol v'noisrat tamei beishamay onim ein nisrafin ka'achas. We don't burn them together, but so the fact that Beis Hillel allows you to burn Tomei, which is Midaraisa Tomei, and Pigel V'Noiser, because they're both Oimed Le'ibur. However, the Gemara says, Shiny awesome, the Islu Tumah Rabbana. That's not a good raya. We need a raya that you can burn something that is Tohor completely. And Pigel and Noiser are Tomei Rabbanon. It's not. Ha Pigel va Noiser metam nesayadayim. Chazal, it doesn't make you tumas haguf, but it makes your hands ashamed. You touch Pigel the Noiser. Okay. Lema Messiah. I'll bring you another Tanaitic piece of literature that maybe will support this concept of Rav Yochanan that B'Sheva Divrei Kol Sorfi. Hapas she'ipsha. You have a piece of bread that's going bad. It's deteriorating. V'nifsalam le'echol adam. The human being won't eat it. But v'akelev yachol achla. But it's roy l'kelev. It's roy l'achilas kelev. A dog will eat it. Metamet tumas oichlin b'kebeya. Such food can become tameh as long as it's the size of a kibetza. V'nisrefes imatmeya b'pesach. And it can be burned with something that is tameh b'pesach. So we see a raya that something that is not roy la'achila, you don't have a din of being mishamer from it becoming tamei. Let's say it was a piece of Torah truma. You're allowed to burn it with tmeya. So this seems to be a raya that in the 7th hour, when it's not roy la'achila, it's the same din. So the Gemara answers, Shiny Osum, the Afra Ba'almahu. No. Chometz in the 7th hour has a whole different connotation. Pasha Ipsha is still
No.
it's considered even less. The Afra Ba'alma, it's just like ash. It's just like dust. While Pasha Ipsha is different. So then Ihachi, my Modeh. So what do you mean Modeh?
If it's Afra, you don't have to burn it. If it's Afra B'Alma, then it's not, you don't have to burn it.
You don't have to burn it, but it's also not Roy. It's Roy less La'achila, right? Because over there, it's still Roy La'achilas Kelef. But by Afra Ba'alma, it's nothing. So there's no raya to our case of after the 7th hour when it's Afra Ba'alma. Pasha Ipsha can still be fed to a dog. So the Gemara says, Ihachi, my moedeh. So if he says that the raya is from Chanis Kanakonim, then what does he say that Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua are moedeh? So again, Hachi Kamerle Rabbi Yosel Rabbi Meir. This is the dialogue going on between Rabbi Yosel and Rabbi Meir. I feel Rabbi Yeshua de Mekel. When Rabbi Yeshua allows you to burn the 2 items together, he's lenient, ki mekel, betluya utmeya. That's only truma it's only truma that is sofek tameh. Tluya means it's suspended. We don't eat it, but we don't burn it. So then, that kind of truma you can burn. Aval petohira utmeya lo. But there's no raya that you could take perfectly good truma tohira that's not sofek tameh and burn it with tameh. Ihachi. So then amai eina hi amida. Rabbi Yossi complained it's not a good compare. Amida umida. It's exactly what we need. So on Rav Yirmiyah, it's not what we need. Because hacha b'basar shenipa b'mashkin shenitmu machmasheretz. We're talking about fluid that was metame by sheretz, and the meat got metame by this fluid. And Oz Rabbi Meir l'tamei, Rabbi Yosef l'tamei. And there's a basic machlokes when food gets metame through mashkin between Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef, and that's the source why it's not mida umida. Rabbi Meir l'tamei, the Omar Tumas mashkin l'tamei acherim d'Rabbanan. That when fluid becomes tamei and it has the ability to metame food, the tumah is only d'Rabbanan. It's not d'oraisa dekatuma. Rav Yossi l'tamei, the Omar Tumas Mashkin l'tamei acherim d'oraisa. Where do we see that? Machlokes the Tanya. The following Mishnah, but that we're going to leave for tomorrow. So I said tomorrow, Mir Hashem will learn at 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
p.m.
All right.